Mugu residents forced to charter choppers for 600,000 rupees as the district remains cut off by land and air routes. Constitutional Council divided over power sharing. Government appoints Rajendra Chhetri as Lieutenant General, paving way for him to head Nepal Army. Russian President Putin says war with Ukraine unlikely, stresses his support for Minsk ceasefire deal as the best way to stabilize eastern Ukraine. And West Indies defeats Zimbabwe by 73 runs at the ICC World Cup. Chris Gayle strikes a record 215 runs. The meeting of the Constitutional Council ended without any conclusion after the parties differed on power sharing in the body. The parties held talks for 3 hours and still failed to arrive at an agreement. Speaker Subhash Chandra Nemang said the delay had occurred because there were differences over the names recommended to the council. But Unified March Chairman Pushpakamal Dahal said that decision couldn't be taken since the Prime Minister opted to make appointments only at the Civil Service Commission. Dahal said agreement was reached earlier to make appointments at all the constitutional bodies at once. Dahal said that the Prime Minister, however, didn't recommend any name for the post at the Civil Service Commission. He said he had advised the Premier to give continuity to the ferry staff who were employed in the preceding term at the Commission. Dahal said the Constitutional Council's meeting slated for Thursday would reach a decision in this regard. The government has promoted Major General Rajendra Chhetri to the position of Lieutenant General. This has opened avenues for Chhetri to become the next Chief of Army Staff. The reigning Chief, Gaurav Samsar Rana, is set to retire after 6 months. Technical Department's Major General Yogendra Bahadur Khan has been transferred to the Directorate of Infrastructure Development. Today's cabinet meeting formed a committee to recommend the Governor of the Central Bank. Today's meeting of the cabinet formed a recommendation committee under Finance Minister Ram Saran Mahat. Today's cabinet meeting also agreed to bear all the cost of treatment of musician Ambar Gurung. Gurung has been admitted to Grant Hospital since last week. The meeting also made appointments to the vacant positions in Nepal Law Commission and some other government offices. Trial for Nepal Army Colonel Kumar Lama began in London's Old Bailey today. He is being charged of torture during the 10-year civil war. British prosecutors have charged him of inflicting severe pain and suffering on 2 Nepali citizens in an army barrack in 2005. It will be the first time an officer from Nepal is being tried on war crimes. Excesses were committed by both the state and the Maoist solidarity during the insurgency. More than 16,000 people were killed in the war. The Nepal government has been protesting the arrest. It has hired a British law firm, Kingley Napley, to defend Lama. The trial is to last 6 weeks. Lama, if convicted, faces lifetime imprisonment. He was arrested in the UK 2 years ago when he was visiting his family during his leave from the UN peacekeeping force. Unified Maoist sister wing, the Young Communist League of YCL, carried out a march in the capital today. The prosecution comes in line with a series of protest programs planned by Unified Maoist-led 30-party alliance. They are protesting against the ruling coalition's decision to go ahead with the majority procedure to promulgate the constitution. The march started from Prikudi Mandap and went through Bhadrakali, Sundhara, Jamo and Putali Sarak before conversing at Prikudi Mandap. Nepal police has pledged to take action against those involved in Sunday's acid attack in Kathmandu. An unidentified man threw acid on 2 girls at the tuition center in Kathmandu's Basantapur. Speaking on Kantipur television's Sarokar, Metropolitan Police Chief Uttam Kharki said the guilty will be booked soon. Meanwhile, demonstrations were held in the capital demanding action against the perpetrator who threw acid on 2 students. Youth, students and various organizations protested, demanding stern action against the attacker and justice to the victim. Demonstrators protested outside the Metropolitan Police premises in Basantapur. 2 students, Sangeeta Magar and Seema Basnet, taking tuition classes in Basantapur, were attacked on Sunday. Sangeeta sustained injuries to her face and is receiving medical attention in Kathmandu Medical College in Sinamangal. The other girl, Seema Basnet, has returned home after being treated in Bir Hospital. Police have said that investigation is on. The motive behind the attack was unknown. The government has failed to adjust the public transportation fares despite the fall in the price of petroleum products. The petroleum prices plummeted a number of times in the recent months, owing to the decrease in international oil prices. The Nepal Oil Corporation reduced the petroleum prices last October in line with the international cost as per the automatic pricing system. It's already been 5 months since the petroleum prices has gone down, but ever since, the authority has been reluctant to adjust the public transport fares, citing legal obstacles. The government is seen raising the issue of scientific pricing mechanism every time the petroleum prices in the international market elevates. This is the first instance when the national price of petroleum has gone down owing to the decrease in international prices. But the authority doesn't seem to have paid enough heed to adjusting the public transport fares accordingly, which would have provided some respite to the public. And time now for a short break. Welcome back after the break. A pregnant woman in Mugu had to spend 600,000 rupees and charter a helicopter to travel to Kathmandu after all forms of transportation there were obstructed. Mildik Nama of rural Mugu's Dolfu VDC's baby died in her womb. When the mother's life also appeared at risk, her husband Kotuk Lama had to get a loan of 600,000 rupees and charter a helicopter to send his wife to Kathmandu. The pregnant woman had been admitted to Mugu District Hospital in Thini on Sunday. Her baby died in her womb on Monday. Since the hospital did not have the necessary equipment for operating, doctors said she had to be sent to Kathmandu. Doctors involved in the treatment said that the baby had died after the patient started bleeding. Flights to and from Mugu have been shut since February to repair the runway. Likewise, the roads have also been obstructed due to snowfall since January. The street protests in Bara were called off today. The locals have been protesting for a week, demanding the Land Revenue and Measurement Office be established in the district. Life in the district returned to normalcy after the protests were put out. The week-long protest, which involved vandalism and clashes, had affected normal life. The locals have said that although they have called off the street protests, they will continue to voice their demands in other forms. Transport, markets and industries resumed operating in the district headquarters, Simra, with the strike being called off. The government has been very ineffective when it comes to improving the standards of education in community schools. But in Kabra district, some 53 community schools have taken up the initiative of providing quality education for their students at par with private schools. At the gathering of community schools held in Kabra's Jamdi, community school teachers reflected on their achievements from the past academic year. They have also devised a new educational calendar to prioritize their task for the upcoming year. The schools have discussed a plan to improve the standard of education in all community schools by conducting student-friendly classes and improving tutorial skills of the teachers. A majority of teachers there have agreed that practical and hands-on methods of teaching should be implemented. The attraction of students towards these community schools has been growing over the years due to the joint initiative by the teachers, management committee and parents in the region. Students from various boarding schools in the district have begun switching to community schools. The system adopted by these community schools has not only served as a model for many other schools in the region, it has also raised the eyebrows of many education experts. These community schools use English language as the medium of instruction from the primary level. They also house various facilities for students including computer labs, e-library and science laboratory. The courses are designed by the teachers themselves and the students are evaluated based on their cognitive and practical skills. The Education Ministry discourages public school teachers from having affiliation with political parties, non-governmental organizations and cooperatives. But in Dolakha, many teachers have not paid heed to the repeated request made by the government to be more responsible towards the job. Tika Kimire, a public school teacher, has plans of resigning from his job as he thinks that teaching and other occupation do not go. He thinks that the tendency of teachers to focus on other job positions and affiliations has deteriorated the quality of education in public schools. Despite various monitoring teams sent by the government to evaluate the situation in Dolakha, many teachers there have continued to work for other organizations while receiving government perks. Meanwhile, the district education office has said that it will take action against the teachers if they continue ignoring their written notice issued by the government. And it's now time for our segment Public Pulse, where you SMS us with your opinion. And the question is, why is there a scarcity of food in Mugu headquarters? And options are A. Administrative weakness, B. Disregard of local produce, and C. Remote terrain. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 8080 and to share your opinion with us. Now on to some international updates. The Russian President Vladimir Putin has said war with neighboring Ukraine is unlikely in an interview for Russian television. Putin also stressed his support for the recent Minsk ceasefire deal as the best way to stabilize eastern Ukraine. Ukraine says Russian troops have been fighting in Ukraine, but Putin repeated denials that this was the case. Earlier, Ukraine's military said rebel shelling had prevented them withdrawing heavy weapons from the front line. In his interview, Putin was asked if there was a real threat of war given the situation in eastern Ukraine. He said that if the Minsk agreement was implemented, eastern Ukraine would gradually stabilize. The Russian leader also said the Minsk deal had become an international legal document following UN Security Council approval of a Russian drafted resolution endorsing it. And time now for another short break. West Indies have defeated Zimbabwe by 73 runs at the ICC World Cup match earlier today at Melbourne. This is their second consecutive victory. Batting first, West Indies notched up a massive 372 runs in 50 overs, losing just 2 wickets. Their opener, Dwayne Smith, was sent home, dug out, but Chris Gayle and Marlene Samuels together anchored the West Indies innings by playing a rock-solid partnership of 372 runs. Chris Gayle alone hammered 215 runs, a new record in this World Cup, while Samuels added 133 runs. The target set by West Indies was revised to 263 after the match was shortened due to the rain. In reply, Zimbabwe came up with 289 runs in 44.3 overs, losing all wickets. Sin Williamson top scored with 73 runs, while Craig Erwin remained unbeaten at 52 runs. Jeremy Taylor and Johnson Holder grabbed 3 wickets each for West Indies, and Chris Gayle hauled 2 more. Tomorrow, Ireland will take on UAE. Top seed Roger Federer has progressed to the second stage of the Dubai Championship underway in UAE. The world number 2 overcame Russian Mikhail Yuzny in straight sets to enter the second stage. Federer won the 2 sets 6-3 and 6-1, making this his 16th consecutive victory over Yuzny. And that's all for this hour. Keep watching Kantipur television. Goodbye for now.